Good afternoon and welcome to Tauron Speedway Euro Championship 2023, a new season ahead of us. My name is Marcin Musial and I'm your host, and I am joined by very familiar faces and even more familiar voices. Sam Embolenko.
Thank you very much.
And David.
Good afternoon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you feeling, gentlemen?
Actually good. The weather's good. It's on our side. The track looks amazing out there. So the riders seem happy, so I think it's a perfect formula.
Excited for the new season, David?
Absolutely, great series ahead. Always a close contest, some big names looking to book a G place for next year. Really exciting year ahead as always.
So, like you mentioned, we're in Częstochowa. The weather has been glorious for a couple of days, so I'm sure the track is perfect and it's going to produce a lot of racing. But there are going to be 4 rounds this season. Częstochowa, then we move on to Gustrov, then Bydgoszcz and Czech Pardubice as the last round of the series. Which of the rounds are you most excited for?
I think of the 4 Bydgoszcz track I've always loved attending and watching meetings. That's a Bydgoszcz is great, but here as well, they had a round here in 2014, which we didn't actually attend ourselves. We were watching it on TV, and it was a fantastic meeting. So yeah, great to be here, and I think there should be some fantastic racing.
Something tells me, Sam, that you're going to enjoy Bydgoszcz as well.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of friends there as well. And it's one of those racetracks, as you know, Thomas Golub kind of stamped his authority on using the outside lines. And if the track allows the riders to do that, it gives some amazing different lines for going on. But probably the most interesting one is obviously Gustrov. Gustrov is one that you can never say who's going to win there.
And a great atmosphere in Pardubice too. But ask me, here's the thing, ask me what my favorite tracks in Poland are.
Okay, go on. What's your favorite tracks in Poland?
Częstochowa and Bydgoszcz. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
Had you asked me a year ago, a few months ago, before we even knew that we were gonna be in Częstochowa and Bydgoszcz, I would have said the same. Great tracks, producing plenty of racing lines, great speedway, so I'm sure we're gonna see that tonight as well.
That was my next question, for what reasons, but you said because it produces great racing. And a racer only wants a good racetrack, right?
Absolutely, there's plenty of good racers this season in the Speedway European Championship, David.
Yes, and also today, lots of home riders. People know this track very well indeed. Leon Madsen, Mikkel Mikkelsen, both trying to win the title for a 3rd time. A wild card in Maxim Drabek, who knows this place, so lots of potential winners.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Janusz Kołodziej, who was a runner-up last year in 2022 Czech Series, but we have a short recap involving you guys from last year's Pardubice. Let's rewatch it. Let's relive the moment once again.
Janusz Kołodziej, who's under big pressure from Jankovic, who's coming through. It's 3-1. How did Kołodziej do that? Gets inside, Milik goes from 3rd to 1st. That's a remarkable ride by Janusz Kołodziej.
And gaining ground, look at that coming through. Jensen comes back in, has to give up that 3rd place. Jensen's going to go up high. Is he going to cut back on the inside? But he's coming right underneath Mikkelsen. Is Bewley, he's fast.
Rasmus Jensen comes charging back into 3rd place across the corner. Quebec back at him. It's Mikkelsen with the advantage. Frantic strap here for 3rd and 4th. Jensen dives one crack into the final bend and gets the 3rd place back. It's a 3rd win for Mikkel Mikkelsen. Bewley in 2nd and Jensen gets 3rd over Quebec. Wow, they were going for it there. Now this could be drama in the last chance. Can Dan Bewley hit the front? It's Madsen with the advantage. Bewley in 2nd, Kołodziej in 3rd, and Kołodziej's now got big work to do to make the final. Madsen looks over his shoulder. He'll be happy enough to see Dan Bewley in 2nd place. He'll be delighted if Kołodziej is in 3rd place. Kołodziej's got to come through here.
He does. Look at Kołodziej now just lining it up right there. Can he actually get underneath Bewley? He's got to keep pace, but look who's coming up the inside right now. Jensen is going to actually upset Kołodziej.
Madsen's looking. He knows what's going on. He knows that Bewley's behind him, but Kołodziej's losing ground here. And Madsen, well, he can't win the Speedway Euro Championship in the last chance race, but he can put himself in position A to do so if Janusz Kołodziej doesn't make the final here. Leon Madsen wins the last chance. It's 2nd for Bewley. It's 3rd for Jensen. Kołodziej goes out, and now it's Madsen's title to win. Here we go for the grand final. The big one here in Pardubice. Will we see the title decided? Green lights on, away they go. Short holding away. It's a good start by Mikkelsen, and Madsen is in play there from gate 4. Can he squeeze through on the inside? He gets inside Kubera. Madsen currently in 3rd place. Mikkelsen leads from Bewley. Madsen in 3rd, and Kubera has missed out at the start. Madsen in that 3rd spot, needs 2nd to take the title. Bewley swings out wide. Madsen charges down the inside. Madsen through to 2nd place. Madsen passes Bewley. At the moment, he's in title winning position. Bewley will come back at him. Mikkelsen leads from Madsen.
Yeah, Bewley just moved offline just that little bit. Leon Madsen said, thank you very much. Here I go. I've made it from gate 4 and I'm in second place.
Well, at the moment, Madsen's got the 2 points he needs to become Speedway Euro champion. It's Mikkelsen with the advantage, set to win the meeting and confirm 3rd place overall. But watch the rider in yellow, who needed 2 points in this race to become champion. He had to work his way through from the outside. Mikkelsen wins the meeting, but Madsen is Speedway Euro champion 2022. Leon Madsen does it in the grand final with 2nd place from gate 4. Mikkelsen, the outgoing champion, does win the meeting, but Leon Madsen, who was champion 4 years ago in 2018, has done it again. The European champion, Leon Madsen.
He had to work hard in this one, didn't he? Just held on, just holding on, and got in there. Now he's twisting the throttle like it means business. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoyed this right here. Lovely to see Mikkelsen win that one from that inside gate, man. The defending champ, having some bad luck in this season right here, and to come back and seal the deal by winning this final round is great to see.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye, Barnabas.
What a season it's been, absolutely action-packed. David, Leon Madsen won by only 1 point with Janusz Kołodziej, so when I say that every point counts, every point matters here in the SEC series, in all 4 rounds, I am not exaggerating. Would you agree?
And it's amazing to think that Leon Madsen only scored 1 point in his first 2 races back in round 1 at Rybnik. He then changed his bike, everything changed, he got all those points. I feel sorry for Kołodziej, because Kołodziej rode superbly to win at Gustrov and also to win at Łódź, and then just missed out in that semi, and you just knew by then, you just felt Leon Madsen would do what was required to take it. But as you say, 1 point, and so often in this series it goes right down to the wire.
So Leon Madsen won his 2nd Euro Championship last season, but it is Emil Sayfutdinov who won back-to-back 2 titles. Do you have Leon Madsen has what it takes to win back-to-back 2 championships and the 3rd one this season?
The easiest answer to that is yes. He does got the experience. He is riding on a bit of a cloud. I think he's coming to this competition, coming off the back of riding in the Grand Prix, that this might be one that he doesn't want to make a mistake for. He wants to make sure this happens.
How big of an advantage is it that we're starting here in Częstochowa? Leon Madsen has been here at Częstochowa since 2017, I think, and he's been a star of his own here. So does he have an advantage over other runners?
I think that must be a big factor here today. You look back in history, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Leon Madsen got maximum after maximum on this track every home meeting. Perhaps in recent years not quite the same. There are others who can challenge, but you have to say, you look at Madsen and Mikkelsen, the strength, Kasper Verina we'll talk about as well, and Drabek, you have to say the home riders here must have an advantage.
So one thing I'm sure of with Leon Madsen is that he knows this track pretty well. It's his home turf, and what he does more often, and I'm sure we're gonna see it tonight, is that he goes wide off the bends and then he takes a really long straight and dives into the inside. That's his signature moveset.
I think it's just he knows how to build up that momentum. You know, he's notoriously known for, he can miss the start, can't he? He can build up so much speed from places where no other riders get it. And on his home track, he's going to know every inch of this place. He's going to definitely want to use that for his advantage.
What about Mikael Mikkelsen? He's been racing for Częstochowa this season. Obviously, he moved here during the winter, but he knows this track pretty well too.
Yeah, he does. Mikkel's an interesting one because, as we say, he's won it twice as well. Very consistent in this series, but perhaps in the the season so far is not going to go into plan. This is really important for him because there's no guarantee of a Grand Prix place next year if he doesn't make the top 6 in that series. So really, the Speedway Euro Championship is perhaps the best way to get into the Grand Prix guarantee for next year. We know he brings his A game to the Speedway Euro Championship. He's done it for year after year, even won that last round last year in Pardubice, so he'll definitely be a big player here.
Same for Patrick Dudek. I mean, he's pretty afraid of his spot next season in the GP, so he said, I want to win the European Championship. Does Patrick have what it takes?
You know what? Every one of these riders, are, especially at this level right now, they know they're knocking on the door to get into the World Championship and secure their spot in the World Championships. And when you got that opportunity to be able to back it up and you have 4 rounds to do it, you know that you can maybe have an average round, but over the 4, you want to make sure you have 3 good ones, don't you? And Dudek, I think, listening to what he had to say whenever we had a chat with him earlier, he's happy. He wants to come out here and do his job. He might have a little bit of issues going on behind the scenes, but tonight we'll know if those things are paying off, the work that he's put into it.
David, is there anyone else you consider a favorite to win the title this season?
I think obviously it's a shame that we have lost, at least for today, Kołodziej and Kubera. Kubera, of course, crashed in the practice at Warsaw for the Grand Prix where he was a wild card. Kołodziej, that rib damage. I think those two would have been both involved. If I look from outside, that range of riders who finished towards the top last year. I'm interested in Verena. I think he has potential to be certainly challenging for top 3, which he came close to before. So probably him, of those outside that top 5 from last year, he's the one to watch, I think.
Definitely, as you mentioned, people who stayed, the riders who stayed after the last season. Let's see the wild cards, the permanent wild cards for this season in 2023 Speedway European Championship. What a lineup for this season. Who are you most excited for?
I think obviously from Great Britain we're pleased to see Adam Ellis back in. He didn't have a great chance last year because he had all sorts of problems and injuries and so on, so it's good to see him back in. He was going well in his qualifier when he had a crash, so it's good to see him being put back in. I think Lindbach's the interesting one. Been away for a few years, retired, come back. We know Antonio's got the talent to beat anyone on his day. Strong field, strong lineup, but I'll be interested to see what he can do.
So Antonio Lindbach, back in the day, great rider, absolutely. He actually won a bronze medal the one season that he was here in a SEC series. Does he have what it takes to produce some good racing? Because this is not the best season. Kind of slow start to the season for Antonio Lindbach this year.
You just never know with Lindbach which rider comes to the starting tapes. You know, how much does he have to give to the sport when he's on the starting line and he wants to let that clutch out. And as you know, in his early days, he used to let the clutch out quite quick, and sometimes that was his big phobia, hitting the tapes. But if he's in rhythm and he's going good and he gets a good start, he could be a real threat to the rest of the guys.
David, you mentioned Adam Ellis. I know you guys watch him pretty closely in the UK, and he's a tremendous rider sometimes at Sheffield, but he does seem like he struggles on continental tracks. Is that an issue?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know the answer here. Adam Ellis, sometimes whether he believes in himself, I don't know. He's got Dan Bewley in his pits today, so that might give him some inspiration. They might be looking for things that you know, could help them out to achieve things. They didn't get off to a good start, by the way. They're on their way here today, and they ran out of fuel on the way here on their van, and they were stuck on the side. Luckily, the mechanics were behind them and filled them up, and they got here. So he's probably relaxed in the head a little bit, not thinking about it because he had that distraction. So.
And it can only get better from there.
Absolutely.
What about Andrzej Lebiedow? He's a 2017 Europe champion, so what about him, David?
Yeah, I mean, he's a rider who always puts in 100%. I got the feeling last year he was maybe getting back to the kind of form we saw. He was fantastic in that 2017 series. He was the most consistent rider all the way through and deserved to win it. Then his form went into a bit of a dip over a couple of years. I think he's coming back there. He's still obviously Latvia's top man, and whether he's a champion this year in this sort of field, we'll have to wait and see, but certainly he can mix things up.
Well, Francis Gus is definitely following his footsteps, but if I remember correctly, Andrzej Lebiedow struggled with an injury last season, so that definitely didn't help him. There's one more name I want to mention. It's Dimitri Berger, who won the SEC Challenge this year in Nagy Halás in Hungary. What about him?
Is it one of those tracks where everything went his way? You know, that track can be a big open track. It could be quite slick. And if the setup's right, sometimes no other rider can find it. And he had that combination on the day. Now he's coming into, these are all big tracks too. I mean, Goodstro's the smallest track out of the three. This is the second biggest track in the series compared to Pardubice. So, I mean, is he going to have that setup and keep that challenge on? We can only see that hopefully after today.
But he's fast, isn't he? He is fast when he's on his day, and of course we've seen him win long track events in the past too. Didn't quite happen last year, did it, in this series? Something is waiting. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, he can do it. He's quick, and if he gets a couple of wins under his belt early on, I think he's the kind of rider that he would move on from that. So, yeah, interesting.
I'm sure there's plenty of great riders, lots of nations here in the Speedway European Championship. So let's make sure that you guys can watch it. So this is our studio here on Facebook and YouTube, but if you want to watch the main event, absolutely follow the instructions you have underneath right on the screen. It's the pay-per-view that you need to pay for, and then enjoy the commentary of Sam and David later on after 5 p.m. Or you can just pull out your phone and then scan the QR code in the left bottom corner, if I'm not mistaken, of your screen. Follow the instructions, and then you can watch the main event at 5 p.m. Unless you're in Poland, Slovenia, or Romania, then you can find your broadcasters. We're going to put that on the screen as well. You can watch it on your regular TV. I'm sure there's going to be lots of action, but there's one more person we need to mention, and it's the wild card for today's event. It's Maxim Drabik, two-time under-21 world champion. What do you expect of him?
Well, he's going to know that he's got to produce good starts. This track is fast. It's a pretty neutral track, I think, for all riders if their equipment's set up. So I think you'll probably find through the event that if the guys are not performing to their best, they're going to be blaming it on possibly not finding the right setup. And that's usually the story. You just got to get it. The weather's good. It's a bit warm. Will that affect the bikes?
Isn't that easy, Sam? That's the easiest excuse they can use.
Well, it's probably the easy excuse, but that's probably going to be the factor because we know he's quality, isn't he? It's just a matter of can he get it all together on the day.
What do you expect of Max?
I think Drabik could be in the final here today. I really do. I think he's in good form. We saw him win his under-21 titles. Obviously, things happened after that. He's trying to get his career back on track, and there have been signs this year that that is what's happening. He should feel confident on this track. As I say, if he's in the final, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, we did mention a few European champions already, so I do want to recap that one more time. Let's watch the recap of all Speedway European Championships since 2013, since One Sport,
yes, thank you.
You're proudly wearing on your shirts, has been in charge of European Championship, with Martin Vatulik winning the title in 2013. So for the past 10 years, One Sport has been in charge of Tauron Speedway European Championship, and we received some great news over the winter that it's going to be extended. The contract is going to be extended until 2030 by FIM Europe. Are you guys excited?
Absolutely. I was at the Gala night for that announcement, and it was a real pleasure to hear the announcement and to be a part of that and the future of it. Let's hope that goes good. One Sport knows how to put on a really good show. The Gala night was perfect, and again today, me and Dave were walking around the stadium. We just can't. Everything's just taken care of. All the little spots are filled with something to do.
What I really enjoyed about One Sport is the track preparation for pretty much every single round that I've seen. So they always look for not the home advantage to the riders that are obviously here day to day, but they're always looking for some exceptional racing. Would you agree, David?
Certainly agree with that, and Gustrov is the round that really sums up. We go to Gustrov virtually every year. It throws up a surprise winner. It brings everyone into play, and that's what we've seen at several places too. We go to different venues, we mix it up a bit, and you have to be an all-rounder to win this series. And you look at the names that have won it over the years and some of the dramatic finishes we've had, and it sums up you have to be an all-rounder to win this competition.
Absolutely. So make sure you follow us on our social media and follow today's round in Częstochowa. Huge shout out to our sponsors, including the Śląskie Province, who is the main strategic sponsor here for the Częstochowa round. And let's make sure that you guys get this pay-per-view. I'm going to put it on the screen one more time so you guys can make sure that you can scan the QR code, follow the instructions, pay for the round or for the full season ahead. And let's see you guys there with Simon Borenko and David Rowe commentary today and for all 4 rounds, I assume.
Nice. We can't wait to get it done. We showed some highlights of Pardubice in the final there. We were stuffed in that little cubicle. That was probably the worst thing. The biggest track on the series, and we got stuffed in the little cubicle, but we made the best of it.
Absolutely. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, we find it exciting, and you saw the excitement there at Pardubice and the way this series builds up. And I always think back when I see those highlights to Nicky Pedersen in 2016.
9 riders.
9th to 1st on the final night, and that's what can happen. The runoff at Horzov with Mikkelsen and Laguta. Lambert winning it in 2020 in a real head-to-head. So many memories and more to come, which is great.
Absolutely. There's 4 Danish riders today in Częstochowa. I'm sure they can produce it.
First person to win 3 out of it, but between Leon Madsen and Mikkelsen, both of them are game for this, right? Aren't they? They're focused on the fact they don't want to make any mistakes the first round. As I said, you can almost afford to have one bad one, but after that, you got to be sharp.
Sam, one last thing I want to ask you. So you already mentioned the track and the conditions, the weather, but the riders are already after the practice, after the track walk, who do you think can read the track the best here?
Obviously the home track riders. You know, we've already highlighted the guys that are here week in and week out that will understand how the conditions change here and being sharp on the fact that it will change and to be ready for that change. I think it's pretty even. You just got to, you know, hopefully you got the right draw, which means, you know, you got the right gate positions when you're up against a rider that possibly is an easier rider to beat on paper. They're not easy to beat, but there might be a way of getting through it to where, you know, you can get that slight advantage, you get those points. And as we know, all points count in this series. Any last place and you're not in it.
David, did you get a chance to walk around the track?
Yeah, my first time here, and yeah, really, as you walk on the track, yeah, looks really spectacular and should be good.
And my comments were this is good, isn't it?
Sam likes it, so obviously I like it. That makes sense. But it's a good point about every point counting. That is the case in this series, and that means, for example, if you think Madsen and Mikkelsen will be the battle for the title, even if they meet in Heat 7 or wherever they meet, that is a key race because there's 2-point swing on that, whoever wins it. And that could be crucial when we get to Czech Republic in September.
You mentioned gates. I think Kasper Vorina and Mikkel Mikkelsen got the best numbers in the draw because they're number 5 and 13. So they go off gate number 1 2 times.
So you think gate number 1's the best gate here at Częstochowa?
Statistically, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So you got to play that game, don't you? So you got to think. But what happens if you don't get gate 1 twice? You still got to think what your options are. Yeah, you got to think your options. You got to know, as you say, Leon Madsen can take big lines and get speed from where nobody else can. And the idea right now is there's no negative about this. It's a positive thing. It's a big track. All right, somebody might have the 2 inside gates and might take advantage of that, but it just depends on who you're with.
All right, gentlemen, before we finish, one last thing. We already mentioned that this year has been struck with injuries. That's really sad for Dominik Kubera, Janusz Kołodziej, and Grzegorz Zęgota. But we got Timo Lahti, Szymon Woźniak, and Niels Christian Iversen, the reserve riders. Well, they got a call 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, being informed that they're going to race in Częstochowa. Is there any pressure attached to it? Why would they come to Częstochowa? What can they produce here today?
I think they would know that they're coming here. It's kind of a fill-in. You know, they're going to want to go out there and perform well because any one of those racers don't want to have a bad night because it reflects on their whole season, doesn't it? If you have a bad one, you got to recover from that. So get out there, focus, do your thing. Obviously, been on the track right now. Before we go back to our position to go to the commentary, I will go have a word with them, see what they think. But I'm sure they're coming here with the attitude, I just got to do my best and see if I can win it.
Yeah, in England we call it a free hit. It's you're not expected to be in the series, then you get called up. Now, if you're first reserve like Timo Lahti, the chances are he may well be in the series for maybe 2, even 3 rounds, depending on how long Dominik Kubera is out for.
Was the first reserve, and he made it to
last
top
year,
5. Yeah.
That was incredible. That was a fantastic achievement. So Timo Lahti, who did well in this series a few years ago, has to have that attitude that come here, score some points, because you never know, in Gustrov he could also be in the meeting, and then you're up in the top area, and yeah, who knows? So yeah, they've got a good chance and not too much pressure.
Obviously, we're keeping our fingers crossed for all riders, all 16 of riders here today, and Dominik Kubera, Janusz Kołodziej, and Grzegorz Zęgota. Speedy recovery, gentlemen. We're looking forward to see you in the series, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me here in the studio.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it. It should be a great day.
Awesome. Sam Ermolenko, David Rowe. I'll see you guys later in the pits, and make sure you join us after 5 p.m. Central Eastern Time. That's where the event starts.